We are live and on time. Amazing. We'll just hang out for let everybody hit the old internet. The notification just went out, so we'll start getting some people in probably. Oh, I gotta turn this down. Not sure what that was about. Anyway, I just wolfed down me some dinner real quick. Thought we'd open up the mic tonight and just let people ask questions. We can do question and answers. As you guys come in, if you would, put down if you're all about Chevy, Ford, or Dodge in the comments, if you would. How many is watching the game tonight? Football game. It's Kansas City, and who's playing Kansas City tonight? I don't watch much football. We'll wait for the algorithm to kind of push the live out a little bit, and we'll do question and answers. I've been a mechanic for 40 years, ASE certified master mechanic, and we thought on Monday nights we'd start opening up the floor to people that are coming into the room just to ask questions about their car or what we think of a certain kind of car, or if you got a problem, maybe we can walk you through any kind of issues you're having. So on Monday nights, we're going to do that, and we're going to do motorcycles, but I didn't get a lot of feedback from everybody, so I don't know. We'll see how Monday. We're not really sure what Monday's going to be. Tuesdays we're going to do teaching, and Friday nights we're doing tool giveaways. We give this tool away on Friday night. It was a 1,000 lube headlamp we gave away. So on Friday nights, if nothing else, come hang out and you have a chance to win a tool at the end of the live every Friday night. So we do trivia, automotive trivia on Friday nights. A lot of times in the mornings, like you'll see me on here real early. It's just kind of shooting the breeze with a bunch of guys that are gearheads and are into automotive and into painting cars and just hot rods and, motorcycle, anything that has to do with an engine, So early mornings, we just kind of have it open mic'd. And then on Tuesdays, I'm going to teach. I taught a basic ignition class last Tuesday. And so we'll do I do mostly electrical. I'm an AFC certified master mechanic, been a mechanic for 40 years. And I'm still working in the field. So I build police cars for a living. And so I have a lot of electrical background. So I can teach. I can teach at any level, at just about anything automotive. So I need friends. Okay, you'll find friends here, man. There's plenty of friendly people here. Welcome to the live, Abby. Where are you from? If you would, as you come into the live, put down where you're from, or put Ford, Chevy, or Dodge. We'll get some ideas of what people are driving or what they're into. Jacksonville, Florida. I just went to Florida for my first time. I'm not single. Thanks for asking, though. I went to Jacksonville, Florida not Jacksonville. I went to Florida for my first time a couple months ago, about a month ago. We went on a cruise. So it's the first time. I like Florida. It was nice. It looked good to me. I love that warm weather. As you guys are coming into the live, if you would, just put down Ford, Chevy, or Dodge, or import, so we kind of know what people are into. And we'll wait a little bit, and I don't know how much traction we'll get tonight, because a lot of people watch the football game on Monday nights. I'm not much of a football watcher. I don't watch football, but I was thinking maybe there's a couple of guys that come in here, they're really into football. I was thinking maybe we'll put one of them in charge of putting out the stats. Hey, Carl Anderson, how you doing? Welcome to the live. Thought I'd do like an hour or so live tonight and see if we get some people in here. I want to start getting question and answers on Monday nights. I thought that'd be a good thing to do, where people can just come in and, hey, Brennan Sanchez, welcome to the live. If you guys would post down there Chevy, Ford, or Dodge or import in the comments so we kind of know what you drive. I mostly talk about automotive, hot rods, motorcycles, you know, whatever. I've been a mechanic for 40 years and I'm ASE certified, or what? I had my ASE certifications. I let them go once I worked for a place where I didn't need them, but I'm a certified tech. Import. What kind of import, Carl? I used to love imports, man. When I was in my 20s, I used to build a bunch of hot Datsun stuff. Back then, they weren't Nissan, they were Datsun. I was in the Datsun 510s and the little 510 sedans, the 4-cylinders. I built a bunch of those. Cadillac SRX. That's a nice car. 87. Oh, yeah, we talked the other night about your Mazda, didn't we? Those are good little trucks. Actually, I just seen one on Facebook I was looking at. I always liked the Mazdas. I think Mazda built some really neat cars. Their stuff was pretty bulletproof back in the like early 80s. I had a Mazda. What the heck was it? I forget. 626? I think it was like a Mazda 626. And man, that was a good car. I let somebody borrow it and they overheated it and cracked the head by not shutting it down. But anyway, if you guys would like and subscribe, if you would. I gotta teach everybody because I didn't know this, but on your phone, if you look, there's 3 little dots at the top on the right hand part of the screen. If you click on those dots, that's where you can like the live. You can like it, and then there you can see the description and all that stuff also. So we'll see. Usually we get a pretty good turnout on these. It usually takes a little while. I'm a little curious though on like on 15, I have an 03 Civic XQ Miller time. 03 Civic. Honda builds some of the best vehicles on the road, in my opinion. Honda is, like, if I had my choice between for the most dependable car I'd buy, it would be a Honda or a Toyota. And I think Honda holds its value better. Good truck, but people have issues and have to put a Weber carb on it. I just have to tune the carb up more once in a while. Yeah, I had a Weber. Weber was pretty common. We used to use Webers on the Datsuns a lot. Weber's a good carb. I love them. Or I did back in the day. We used to use a lot of Weber stuff. They're just easy to, they're a square bore and they're real easy to adjust. I always liked the Weber. And they got a real nice air cleaner on them. Almost like K&N. And they've been like that forever. I bet a lot of people are watching the football game tonight. You have a new Weber that needs to go on? That's what I used to run on my Datsuns, was a Weber. And they weren't too crazy expensive. They were like, back in the day, you could buy a nice Weber for under $500. But man, what a difference those carbs made, those Datsuns. Because you could put like a camshaft in them and then drop a Weber carburetor on there. And man, it was like a different car. Yeah, that's true. It's hard to find a mechanic that'll work on a carburetor or even know how to even adjust a carburetor. Yeah, I tell you, the easiest way to adjust a carburetor is with propane. Does Rain-X really work? Yes, Rain-X actually does really work. It's probably one of the best products I can think of that you can use in the wintertime. If you guys have ever used Rain-X, check it out, man. I've used it on my motorhome because the wipers on the motorhome, no matter what you do, they don't wipe well. But Rain-X repels the water. And I seen where On my motorhome, I could put Rain-X on the motorhome and just turn the wipers off. It repels the water that well. Snap-on or Craftsman? Ralph Hernandez. Depends on if you're working in a shop or you're working in your garage. Either way, I honestly think the older Craftsman stuff is some of the best wrenches you can get. But you have to go look around for the older stuff. I just turned the screw and hit the throttle near the carb to get the motor to turn down. Yeah, so there's two adjustments on that. There should be a throttle, so that will give you how many RPMs, and then there should be a mixture screw that adjusts the air-fuel ratio. And propane is the best way to adjust carburetor. You get a propane bottle, and there's a little tool you put on top with a little rubber hose, and you just feed it propane. And you should see about a 50 RPM gain with propane. And if you're not getting that gain, you need to turn the screw in. And if you're getting too much gain, you need to bring the screw out. So you need to see about a 50 RPM gain with propane enrichment. I've bought a lot of Snap-on. One thing I will spend the money on when it comes to Snap-on, though, is their ratchets. I think Snap-on makes some of the best ratchets you can buy, even though that they're imported now, because they're not hardly anything Snap-on makes anymore is made here. It's mostly all made overseas. But Snap-on, some of their stuff's worth buying, like their ratchets. In my opinion, their ratchets and their screwdrivers are premium. I don't know about the new ones now, but I have a set of Snap-on screwdrivers that I've had for 40 years. And the handles are still just as good as the day that I bought them. The nice thing about Craftsman is Craftsman will give you an easy return. If you break something on, matter of fact, hey, if you look in the links, like if you go into the description, I listed some tools for tonight. There's a Craftsman set right now that's a killer deal. You get 3/8 and 1/4-inch drive, deep and shallow, metric and standard for $69. It's a killer deal. They're on sale. But if you go, like right here, this is a light up here. If you click on that link or go to the description, you can get to our Amazon links. But I listed a Craftsman set that I seen the other day, and I was like, man, that's a pretty good deal for somebody that's just starting out, that's looking to, get a set of ratchets and sockets. For $69, you get both 3/8 and 1/4 drive, metric and standard. And I started out with Craftsman. That's how I started working in the field. I started out with Craftsman tools, and I worked my way up into Snap-on. But there's nothing wrong with Craftsman. It's more of a name thing, When you start working in a shop, everybody wants to, brag about, oh, I got $10,000 worth of Snap-on tools. $2,500 of Craftsman will turn the same screws, But some of their stuff's premium, but you pay that premium price for it too. I like their wrenches, but honestly, they're a little bit too thin. Craftsman tools, Snap-on, their wrenches are very thin, which is nice when you want to get into a tight spot. But man, when you have to pull on them really hard, and I can pull pretty hard, they hurt your hand because they're so thin. How do you know what RPM I have it at without a tachometer? I think it needs to be 800. If you don't have a tach, it's going to be pretty tough. You need to get maybe one of your buddies has a timing light that has a tachometer on it. A lot of timing lights has a tach built into them. So if you find somebody that has a digital timing light, you should be able to see that. The Tick, what's up, brother? We were up here this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning? I got my days and nights all mixed up. I got to go back to work in like a week, I think. So I got to get my stuff figured out. Yep. We had a pretty good turnout last night. We had a bunch of new subs too. A couple good guys showed up, and pretty solid guys. They subbed. So couple military guys. We might see them tonight. Who knows? Yeah, that sucks, man. I had neighbors like that. It sucks when you have crappy neighbors. There's nothing worse than having a terrible neighbor, especially if you own your house and you get crappy neighbors, because you can't get rid of them. You can't leave. You know, I went through a bout of that when I had a really bad neighbor. Man, it made my life miserable. And even some people, no matter how nice you are to them, they don't understand nice. Yeah, it sucks, man. I had neighbors like that. Yep. We had a few altercations because they kept flying by in front of my house when my kids were out in the front yard. So it didn't go well. But man, those people are hard. They're unpredictable when they're like that. Like the Craftsman wrenches with the open end that you can flip and use like a ratchet. Not sure what they're called. Yeah, they have they have a ratchet head in them. I tell you, I was gonna push some wrenches tonight. If you guys look in the description or wherever it is, if you have every toolbox, every tool you think you need, go check out those gearhead stubbies. They're little stubbies. I got a set of stubbies that are snap-ons, and man, those are the most convenient little wrenches. Sometimes there's nothing else that'll get that bolt loose than a little tiny stubby wrench. And Gearhead has a ratcheting set now of stubbies. They flex and ratchet. Man, they're nice. They're like $60. They're not bad. I think they're 60, 50 something, somewhere in there. Friends, some friends always want you to be their friends, but fell short at being yours. Yeah, I've had friends like that, where you're there for them 100%, and then when you need them, they're nowhere to be found. Then I have other friends, that they're, I always told my kids, if you can put 5 friends on your hand in your lifetime, that you can call them your true friends. And a true friend is somebody that you can call no matter what, and they'll say, I'm on my way. Those are friends, man. Those are hard to find. I had about 4 friends like that in my life, and I still have a friend. We've been friends for, gosh, I don't know how long now. Like over 40 years. Yeah, we've been friends like 42 years, And that friend that I just told you about, that friend of mine, I could call him right now and say, dude, I need you here tomorrow. And he wouldn't even ask why. He'd just be, all right, man, I'm on my way. I'll see you in 12 hours. Was a diesel mechanic. There wasn't a tool for the job. He would make it, like bend a tool or whatever. Yeah, Carl, we do that a lot in the shop where I work. If we don't have a tool, we'll build one. Do what you got to do. I've got a lot of those kind of wrenches that I put in a vise and heated it up and bent it. Yep, that's a real friend. But you got to, and I also, I taught my kids a lot of stuff growing up. And I used to tell them too, you got to be a friend to have a friend. If you want a friend, you got to be that friend. You got to be that person that's willing to go, whatever it is, man, I'm on my way. What have I built? Like recently, I've built all kinds of stuff, but recently, we've been working on a Ford F-250 IDI. We got to do the brakes on it. That's our next step. We got it running. Put a starter in it, a set of glow plugs, and a set of batteries. Got it fired, but now I got to do the brakes on it. like a tool. Usually we build stuff like wrenches that have a really weird bend to them. You can't get a normal wrench in there. Sometimes you can take a wrench and cut the end off of it and then put a big long pipe on it and do where you can get a ratchet on there, kind of like a crow's foot type thing, especially when you're working with like big heavy equipment. Sometimes you got to build stuff. You don't have the tool you need. That's kind of a neat adventure, Tick. Oh, that'd be really cool. Stripwood kayaks. He's 79. You know what? If nothing else, man, you get to spend some time with your dad. If nothing else. And canoes. Yeah, my buddy, he was really into that, and he bought a really nice wood canoe. Beautiful. I mean, a beautiful canoe. And man, he paid good money for that thing. I think he spent like, I was thinking he spent like $4,000 on it, $5,000. But man, it's a work of art. It's beautiful. Yeah, if you could find if you had a market for that, you could make some money at it, especially if you enjoy it, you know. I'm definitely real. Brandon, I'm 100% real, man. Do I look AI? Can AI do this? I'm real, man. Rare, Brandon, your video clarity is insane. Really? Good. The reason being is so we're not using a phone or a laptop camera. So I'm running this through StreamYard, and I can use my good Sony camera because of that. And also, and we're only at 1080p right now. We're at 1080p right now. We can actually bump it up to 4K because we paid the big subscription through StreamYard, but I haven't messed with it yet. Thanks for letting me know that the video is good. Because that's something I work on, is getting the video and the audio, and we're very nice. Good deal. Thanks for saying that. Clutch and stick, you know what? I don't know what happened, but I seen the stuff that you had, and then when I went back, I couldn't find it. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if I'm illiterate or what, man. I don't know. But I did check it out, and there was like 4 or 5 pictures, but then when I went back, I couldn't find it. I don't know what happened. There was no like links or nothing there. I don't know. I did try. You went to bolt building school in Eastport, Maine, and didn't because my math was not. I took drafting too. That's pretty cool. You know, there's a real art in boat building. And if your dad's going to be with you on it, man, that'd be great. You know, I don't know how strapped you are for cash. It's just, you got to have a market, you know, think about where your market is. Walking my dog. Okay, Tick. I wish I could pull that up on collecting stick. I tried. I don't know what I did wrong, but I don't know. Because when I went to the comments, it showed your comment, but it didn't show the it didn't show the link. So I don't know what I did wrong. I'm not sure. You guys watching the game tonight? I know a lot of people watch football. I don't watch football. I don't have the patience for it, man. I can't sit and stare at a TV for 2-3 hours. I go crazy. I have a hard time. I've been hey, you guys, remind you guys to like and share the live. I'm trying to remind myself to remind everybody to do that, to like and share the live. And then if you're new here, give us your subscription, because on Friday nights, we give away tools. This last Friday night, we gave away one of these headlamps. That's a 1,000 lumen rechargeable headlamp. And I actually going to give away another one of these this Friday night. Actually, no. So I never met my dad. So I ended up going to an automotive program, a 2-year program at a college. That's how I learned how to. And then really when I learned the most was when I went to work somewhere. Because you can learn a lot in a book, but until you put your hands on it and actually do it, you know, the best thing I tell people, if you want to really get into making the big money as a tech, is go to a school, and not one of these fly-by-nights teach you everything in 8 weeks thing. Go to like a college or something and take a 2-year course. But while you're going to school, try to get a job in a dealership somewhere. That way, as you're learning stuff, you can apply it. That's how you learn the most. But I learned the most just working in places. Once I got a job in the field and in some dealerships and stuff, that's where I learned the most. They pass the ball too much. It's whatever. The NFL and me are just waiting for legacy fans to no longer be around. Yeah, I don't do sports. When I was in high school, I used to watch college basketball. I could have played college. I was quite the ball player when I was in high school. But I used to like to watch college. I used to watch UCLA a lot. But as I got older, I just got too many other things to do. I can't sit and watch football. I know some people do it. I can't. I just don't have the time for it. You know, I don't want to look back on my life and think about all the hours I spent sitting on the couch watching football that I could have been building a hot rod or something, building me a motorcycle or, building a house, whatever, There's a lot better ways, in my opinion, to spend your time than sitting on the couch watching football. But hey, if that's what you're into, whatever. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying, for me, I'd rather be building something than sitting there staring at that cube on the wall. I just have a hard time doing that. So I'm going to go back to work in 8 days. So I was hoping we get enough people in the room, but we just got to keep working at it, man. We'll keep grinding away on the lives for sure. I'm going to keep doing it. My dad once applied to fix school buses in Old Town. And was qualified. They gave him a job to a relative. My dad told me, yeah, it can happen. Used to be a day and time your school would get students internships. Yeah, nowadays, where I'm at, they had a really good automotive program. It was a 2-year program though, full time. I mean, you had to go just like going to college. It was a 2-year program. And we did all of it. You did the brakes, front end, engines, transmission, drivability, study for your smog license. I mean, you learned a lot. And I had a good instructor. That's the thing that helped me a lot. I had a really good instructor. And then I worked at some independent shops, some dealerships, and then I went to work for a county organization. And I stayed there for 25 years. The nice thing about the county organizations, you work on everything. You could be working on a lawnmower one day and be working on a grader the next. There's no in between. There's they work on everything you could think of, which was nice because I never got bored because there's always something new. I always liked figuring out something I'd never worked on before. It was more of a challenge because, you can only put on so many Chevy small block water pumps and, there's no excitement to it after a while. I learned a lot on YouTube too. Reset my Dodge. YouTube's a pretty good teacher, I wish it was around when I was starting out. Because now, even at work, I use it now for like certain things like trying to find components. Sometimes I'll use YouTube. Like if I get up against something where I can't find something I'm looking for. I was working on a Ford F-150 here a while back, and I did the troubleshooting on it,
And I needed to get in on the ABS module to do a pin test, and I couldn't find the module. And he kept looking and looking. Man, I went to like 4 different, resources of telling me where it was, and every one of them was something different. So I went to YouTube and I started looking it up, and man, I found it. A guy had a video about where it was located, and it kept saying it was against the passenger firewall, like it was against the firewall. And I'm underneath there with a light looking all over, and I'm like, man, I do not see this thing. And so I found a video of a guy, and where it was underneath the dash pad. I had to pull the cluster out and the glove box and pull the dash pad up, and it was underneath in like a little cubby in there. Why they ever put that in there, I will never know. But I don't think I would have ever found out without YouTube. What I was going to do, I was going to go to the PCM and just start following the wire, because I spent like 2 hours trying to find this thing and I couldn't find it. What's wrong with my ears? Nothing. My ears work fine. They're big. I got big ears so I can hear. Let me get rid of this guy, man. What's wrong with your ears? What's wrong with your tooth that you got knocked out? So anyway, yeah, YouTube can teach you a lot. You have to be able to read between the lines sometimes, though. Sometimes you get people on YouTube, they don't know what they're talking about. I can tell, like when I watch videos, I'm like, this guy don't know what he's talking about. He just made a video. But there are some guys that know what they're talking about on there. You just have to be able to read between the lines on some of that stuff. So Friday night we'll do a trivia again. When you guys start seeing me on early in the mornings, you'll see me on like hey JS Hart. Welcome to the live, brother. Good to see you in here. He's one of our usuals. I missed this part. The stupid fuse to run the cooling fan is a dealer part. $99 hidden. YouTube help me. $99. You know what I just seen on it? The fuses are getting ridiculous, man. I just worked on a Chevy Tahoe, and it had a so I don't know if you guys know what maxi fuses are. Maxi fuses are these big old huge, like 50 to 100 amp fuses. And so the truck had blown a maxi fuse, but you can't buy the maxi fuse separate anymore. You got to buy the whole freaking fuse panel. I couldn't believe it. A maxi fuse used to be like 20 bucks. Well, now they got these panels that bolt in there, and the maxi fuse is all one piece, part of the panel. So every time you pop a fuse, it's $100 bill. It was like 125 bucks for that fuse panel. And then if in a shop, they're going to charge you to change it. Clutch sync. My biggest video was replacing the back 4 coil packs on my Taurus. That's 12,000 views last I checked. Really? That's awesome, brother. Yeah, I think I need to start doing a little bit of like vehicle specific stuff too. It's it's hard for me to make you understand how it's set up. But yeah, the problem I had with the way they did it, like if you have a problem on that circuit and you just stick another panel in there, it'll just pop the fuse again, and then you're out another 125 bucks. So what I did, I took the old panel and I drilled holes in it where I could rivet in a standard maxi fuse to test it. We'll get rid of this guy. Yeah. The problem is where I worked at, it wasn't on my own vehicle. So where I worked at, they require you to use factory stuff. You can't just, start putting stuff. Yeah, James is gone, I think. Yeah, I tell you. That's one thing about this StreamYard. It makes it real easy to get rid of people. I get all these weird comments. Sometimes I think they're just bots. I don't really think there's anyone behind them. I'm sure of it. They're just like internet robots or whatever. Yeah, but I couldn't believe that. It was like, so what I did, I took the panel, because the panel had like 4 maxi fuses in it, and it fits over the battery. It's kind of like a unit. It goes over the positive and it goes down, and it had 4 maxi fuses in it. But they're not, you can't pull one maxi fuse out. It's all one piece. So I cut the one out, and then I drilled some holes where I could drop a maxi fuse in there, because I didn't want to throw the new panel in there and find out that it still had a problem. I was pretty confident that they jump started it and popped it, but I just kept the old one where I could, because I was trying to teach the guys at the shop. I said, you don't want to just drop a new panel in there, because there was a reason that fuse popped. And if you drop that new panel in there and hook up the cable and this problem still exists, you're just going to pop it again. So, every time you do that, that's $125. So anyway, I just made a test one. So now when we have a problem, we can drop that one in there and check it. Sometimes I reform them, and then they are loyal individuals. Jazz Hart, you're talking about the guys talking stuff. Yeah, I probably should give them a little bit of a break. What's your opinion on Pro Lube oil treatment? My dad has an early 70s house tractor. The engine is getting a bit tired, but runs good. My dad hasn't used it yet. I don't know much about that Pro Lube oil treatment. If it's an older tractor, just some good 1540 probably be just fine. We just run 1540 in all our stuff. All the diesel stuff that in our fleet, we use 1540 in. I haven't used a Pro Lube. What about synthetic oil? So synthetic oil is just a premium blend. It'll go more miles between changes. But I'm a true believer of just change the oil more often. But you can't hardly buy oil anymore that's not synthetic. You got to look for it. Yeah, I think that a tired motor, just keep the oil changed more often. Sometimes you can thicken the oil. Like if you got something that's running 1030 and it's gotten really tired and starting to smoke, you can bump it up to 1540, and it'll help a little bit, because it starts being a oil consumer. But all this pour-in stuff that's supposed to help fix old engines is usually all bull. The only way to fix an old engine is make it a new one again. Yeah. I'd say if it's getting old and tired, just baby it and then be prepared to rebuild it. There's no pour-in treatment you can put into a tired motor. The only way to fix a tired motor is to pull it down and redo it. Yeah, usually on your diesel stuff though, it depends on the tractor. Some of the older tractors are gas. It depends on how old it is. But even if you got one that's kind of tired and it's starting to smoke, if you're running 1030 in it, you can bump it up to 1540, and it probably help it a little bit. It's just a thicker viscosity, so it fills in the rings and the little scrapes in the cylinders and stuff better. But ideally, a tired motor is a tired motor. You know, just all you can do is, you know, start thinking about making it new again. That's the way to fix it, really. Hey, Wilt, what's going on, brother? I always want to call you Wilt the Still, because that's what they, when I watch basketball, Wilt Chamberlain was a big deal. We were up late last night, but I couldn't sleep, so I did a live at about midnight. I think I went to bed at like 3:30. Hey, anytime, Carl, for sure. That's kind of what we're wanting to do here. I was hoping we get we'll get some more traffic. It just takes time. But I think Mondays would be a good time to do question and answers, where people can come in like this guy and ask a question, where we can, you know, help them out. Royal Purple. What's the one? I was trying to think of what I was using on my bike. I use, man, my bike stuff's expensive. I use Bel-Ray on my bike. Yeah, Royal Purple's expensive too, huh? I use Bel-Ray on my Harley. And the only reason I use Bel-Ray, it's been around a long time. It's a good oil, but it's available. Like some of that stuff you get for the Harleys now, the red line and different ones, you have to order them. You can't just go down and get it. So I switched to Bel-Ray because the Honda shop where I'm at, they stock it all the time. So I can just go down there and get it when I need it. But man, oil has gotten crazy. I can't believe how much it is anymore. Like you get a big old, you know, get like a gallon one now, they're 35 or 40 bucks. It's just hard for me. My first job when I was a kid, I worked at a gas station in East LA. And at the time, I think oil was like 89 cents a quart, 79 cents a quart. And now it's $7-8. 15 bucks a quart. Yeah, Wilt, that stuff I get for the Harley, it's like $9 a quart. The Bel-Ray is higher than that. I think the Bel-Ray is like 10 or 11. But when it comes to the bike, I give it the best I can give it. Castor oil. What's the other one I use for the bike? It's I'd have to go look at it. Some of that stuff I get because it's available. It might be Castor oil that runs the V-twin motorcycle oil, but it has a real wide mouth on it like that. I'm trying to remember what it is. I got some out there. I have to go look at it. But I usually run Bel-Ray if I can. Because they say that like the red line for the Harleys, you can run it on all three holes. So you can put it in your tranny, you know, you can put it in your primary case for your chain, and you can run it as oil. So you can just stock one oil and do all three, but I don't do that. I like to have a fluid with a color in it in the tranny, so I can differentiate between if it's engine oil or tranny oil. Because if I got something dripping, it's nice to know what it is. And if you use the same oil in all three holes, you can't really tell where it's coming from. My dad used airplane. all his 76 Harley Super Glide, he knows someone he can get some from. Aeroshell Airplane 5W. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know one time I had this Honda. I had a Honda VT 1100. I don't know why I did it, but I put 2050 in it. And that's what the Harley takes, is 2050. But that Honda, I think they were running like 1030 or 1040 in it. But I put 20. I think I just got it stuck in my head that it was supposed to be 2050 from the Harley. And I put 2050 in that Honda. It wouldn't hardly start. You could hear it, man, when you cranked on it. It would go, wrong, wrong, wrong. I would barely crank. And after I got done changing the oil, I was like, why is it doing that? I know the battery's full. So I knew it wasn't, because it had a pretty new battery in it. So I was like, it's got to be that oil. And oil makes a big difference sometimes on bikes, man. Make a big difference. The way that the temperature they run, all that. I have used 80 penny gear oil in an engine that was knocking one time, and it stopped. Yeah. If you thicken it up, man, it doesn't have an option, but it's like pouring honey on it, You're just masking a problem. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Nick Mimis. People think we're retarded or what? I don't know. We'll give you a chance there, Nick. Niche, whatever. We'll give you a chance to. We'll get you a chance to say something worth saying. Then we'll just throw you out on your ears. Yep, you got to be respectful. You're right, J.S. Hart. Thanks for doing that. It's been my experience. It's an uphill battle. I got to get started on that. I think maybe tomorrow I might do that. Yeah, they're trolls, I know, but they all count for comments, I guess. I just don't want it to where it gets where that's all you get to look at. I think tomorrow I might go try to find me a container for some fuel for that 40 horse. See if I can get the carburetors adjusted up. I was a little surprised because I haven't worked on a lot of boats, but did you know they don't run an air cleaner on boat motor? I never knew that. I worked on a few. Now I think about it, I don't think I ever put an air filter in one. Didn't want me and had fresh oil in Kia when it was running low on oil because mine wasn't synthetic. She's a real expert. Measure what else she was trying to tell me I was wrong about. Yeah, there's no air filter, man. So I joined this like vintage boat group so I can ask questions to all these guys that have been working on boats forever. And the boat I have, the carburetors are just open, and I knew there must be some kind of, yeah, that's what I thought. But I was thinking there's still dust in the air though, out on the water, but I'm just surprised they don't run some kind of filter, man. Because yeah, when you're out on the water, you're not out in the dirt, but man, there's still dirt in the air. I mean, you're not running down a dusty road, but I guess with the water all around it, they don't feel they need it. Because I was curious because the back of that motor, the carburetors were open, and I was like, there must be a plate or something there to go down. So I did find that. So I got that going on. I found a bunch of stuff on that boat that was wrong. They had the throttle cable hooked up to the primary throttle. So they have two roll off like little rollers that open the carburetors. Well, they had one of the cables hooked to this. And I was like, that doesn't look right. I kept looking at it. And where the throttle was supposed to attach was under the starter where you couldn't see it. Then they had two different spark plugs in it. And then they had one of the wires for the negative side of the points ran to ground. So there's no way it would ever start. So I just fixed all that minor stuff, and it just needed, a little help is all. Just don't run an air filter either. Really? Keep talking, I'm almost there. Better horsepower. Some people are just unhappy. They want their unhappiness to be a distraction. Yeah, I get that. Usually I just let it fly, but man, after about 3 or 4 comments of just, being just stupid comments, I just get rid of people. Breezy. Hey, Will, yeah, I got it running. I actually almost blew it up the first time I fired it because it had a stop screw like in the shaft, and to me, I thought that was the idle screw. I was like, well, that's got to be the idle adjustment. So as I was looking at the way the throttle was set up, I would push it against what I thought was the idle screw. That was the maximum RPM screw. And I fired that thing up, man. It went to like, wow. You never seen an old man run so fast to the front of that boat to turn it off. But I did. Then afterward, after I figured out the way they had the throttle ran, and I figured out the points and stuff, I cleaned them up. And man, I got it fired. And it sat there and purred like a kitten. Nice. It idles real nice. So I need to find a fuel tank for it. I don't have a fuel tank for it yet. No, I haven't, but I need to do that. I am. Thanks for bringing that up, though. I need to drain that. Matter of fact, I need to find a good manual for it because I want to pull the lower end off and change the water pump impeller because it's been sitting for a long time. So that impeller is probably junk. Those impellers, man, they go fast. It doesn't take much on those impellers. I watched a video one time of a guy that he was a boat mechanic, and at the time I had a Mercury with a lower end on it, an inboard with a lower end system on it, and he showed on his, they're rubber or plastic, one of the two. And what he did, he said, don't keep running your boat at the dock. You see people, they come out of the water and they'll let them run until they run out of fuel, but they're out of the water. He goes, as soon as you do that, man, your impeller's done. And what he did, he took a brand new impeller, he tore the lower end apart, and he put a new impeller in it, and then he fired it up dry for like 45 seconds, and then he tore it back down and took it out, and that thing was half the size that it started. It don't take long, man. And what happens on those, they'll cool pretty good at an idle, but when you get out pushing them hard on the lake, then they'll overheat. Yep. Yeah. I had an old Johnson 5-horse that we never did it on it. And man, that thing, it fired and ran every time. But every time I took it out, I thought, man, I don't know what that water pump impeller looks like. It's probably not doing a whole lot. Yeah. I've had a few boats over the years, but you know what? That's why I tell people, once you learn automotive, it's all the same. Whether you're working on a boat, an airplane, a truck, a big truck, a diesel, a car, a mini bike, a motorcycle, it's all the same, man. It's all the same stuff. It's all just, it's just all bolts and nuts and bolts, man. They're all the same. Like that, the ignition on that boat, I was able to figure it out because I knew how it's supposed to work. And I knew that they had that wire to the negative side of the coil ran wrong because it was going to ground. I'm like, it'll never start. Yeah, it's all the same principle. Yeah, it is. So even though you haven't worked on something, you can kind of look it over. Because like on the boat, man, I pulled the thing. I was like, okay, it's got 2 coils. So it's definitely got probably 2 sets of points somewhere. Condenser, you know, check for power to the coils. And the wiring was just toast, man. I just cut everything off and started over. So I put all new power to the coils, and then I ran new wires for the ground up to the points. And then it wasn't firing the points weren't open and close. They were opening and closing, but they were so dirty they couldn't find ground. So I got the flywheel off and got in there with some like 40 grit sandpaper and sanded the points up real good. They fired every time. They were just dirty and pitted. You know, probably that flywheel never been off of it before. Doubt it, but it's amazing how those old motors will stay running, man, and just be, you know, that motor's 60 something years old and it still fires and runs. My dad has a 69 25-foot John aluminum boat with a 250 after years of the block crack had to get a used engine. You know, now that you say that, I'm thinking it's 3. Wilt, I think the propeller's 3. I don't know. You think I know that, but I don't. I'll have to look. But yours is 3. So this is a 60. It's a 63 Elgin, but Elgin was the manufacturer from Sears, but the motors were built by all different companies back then. As far as I know, I think the one I have is a McCullough or a Scott. We haven't narrowed that down yet. Did you know that a 74 Super Glide Harley, you can just order a point for a 250 engine and it will work? For a 250. So Carl, you're saying like a 250 engine. What engine are you talking about? What are you ordering? I know with points it's not that critical. You just got to get them mounted in there where the rubbing block's touching the distributor shaft and be able to adjust them. That's the biggest thing. That's good to know though, Carl. I didn't know that. A Super Glide. So what are you ordering for a 250? What 250 motor are you ordering it for to put into the Harley? I've always wanted to get me a XLCH Ironhead and build like a single rider bike, little bobber. I think that'd be a fun little project. Okay, so he's Chevy 250 straight 6. I get it. So he's ordering a 250 straight 6 set of points and mounting them in the Harley. That's good to know. It's always easier to find points for that than the Harley. It's true. I believe you. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know I used to always take my points out and throw the old ones in the glove box just because you just never knew. The nice thing about point ignition, you can work on them. You can fix them on the side of the road. You know, electronic ignition is nice. It's more dependable, but man, when it stops working, you're done. Unless you got a module with you or something. Propeller. Yeah, I have to look. I'm thinking it was 3 though for some reason. And it has like it's got an original brass prop on it. It's made of brass. Big old heavy duty prop, man. Yep, exactly. Yep. Emery board, man. Getting your wife's purse and get you an emery board. They seem to work the best. Yeah, I know. I'm wanting to drop an HEI in my Chevy, my small block, because it still has regular point ignition in it. And I want to do a little bit of work to that truck. And I was thinking about dropping an HEI in it, but after I thought about it, I'm like, I'm going to put that distributor in the toolbox just in case, man. Get out in the middle of nowhere. Get out in the middle of nowhere and be able to just pull the distributor out, change it right here. Put the points back in and work on it and get home. Yeah, that's 71 Chevy is still points that I have. Well, what are you saying that boat engine should be in what? In the S. On that forum I was on, a lot of them were saying that 40 horse, they had a lot of problems with them. But I don't know. Smithsonian. Smithsonian. Hey, Malta Hamid, thanks. Appreciate you saying that. I get that a lot about the beard. You had to run out there and look, Carl. That's me. I was thinking, well, I don't know. I don't remember if it's 3 or 4. I can't remember. I think it's 3 though. Yeah. Thing is, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? That old Chevy of mine, man. It needs some work on the carburetor, like the choke doesn't work right. So like when it's cold, you got to go out there and pump the heck out of it to get it started. But once it fires, man, she's good to go. Them old Chevy, you can't beat them old Chevy small blocks, man. Malta, welcome in. Thanks for saying that. Yeah. And I almost sold that truck a couple times. I actually had it sold for $9,000. It was a good deal at the time. It was worth, I was thinking it was about 7 at the time. It was worth it. And the guy offered me 9. And I said, I'm going to sell it, man. It's not even worth that 9, but he's willing to give me 9. And then right at like the week before he was going to come get it, I said, no, I changed my mind. I'm not going to sell it. He goes, really? I'm like, no, I can't sell it, man. Something's telling me not to. So I didn't sell it. I'm glad I didn't because it's worth about 14 now. And it's a custom camper. So I was surprised they didn't make that many of those. They only made them for like 3 years, maybe 4, I think. And they only made like 1,000 or 1,500 compared to like 700,000 of the regular trucks they built. So they're kind of rare. They're going to be worth some bucks someday. Yeah, I think they are rare. I see them once in a while though. I see them for sale, but you don't see a lot of them. You've had yours for 34 years. I bought mine like in 2010. So I've had it 15 going on 16 years. It's been a great truck too, man. It's a long bed, of course, because it's, it was a custom camper, but it actually says it right on the side of the truck. It says C20. I always call it the wrong thing. I always call it, it's called a custom camper. That's what GM calls them, custom camper. Ford calls them camper specials. It's a water pump. Chevy's 250. This shaft was wobbly and would break off if it didn't fix it. Yeah, that's great, man. Anything you can learn from your dad, you know, absorb all that, because so many people are losing all that. Well, you bought yours when you were 15? Good deal when you hung on to it. My 95 Pro D is what mandatory to keep and known working extras in the back at all times. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, you know what I used to do when I used to do troubleshooting? Like I used to get a lot of Fords that would come in with no sparks. This was like in the 80s. And they had like 3 different distributors at the time. So what I did, I ordered 3 distributors. I had my boss get them. And I put a ground wire on them. And when they would come in for a no start, instead of having to go through all the diagnostics, I could just unplug the distributor, plug their harness in, and ground it, and then just spin it and see if it got spark. And then if it had spark, I knew the distributor was junk. It was really fast and easy diagnostics. Dodge also calls them camper specials. Some of these came with 400 engine and 400 trans. Mine's got a 350 with a 350. I was gonna put a 400 in it though. That 400's the best tranny GM ever built. You can't break them. Yeah, you can hang on. You can keep a module on you if you're lucky. That's what the problem is. A lot of those Fords, it was the pickup coil on the inside of the distributor that would go bad. So it wasn't. A lot of times it was the module, but I like points, man. They're so simple. You know, they open and close and they fire the coil. That's all. You know, it's simple. You look at them. Are they open and closing? When they open and close, are they going to ground? And then is the condenser good? That's all you need to know, and it'll start. So it doesn't matter where you're at. All you need is a little screwdriver, you know, and you can fix it on the side of the road. That's why I like my Harley, man. You know, it's carbureted. You know, I can work on it. I can tear that carburetor off and rebuild that carburetor in like 20 minutes. So, you know, there's not much that can keep me stranded on the Harley. You know, it's just pretty much. Hey, before you guys go tonight, go check out my links in the descriptions and any of that stuff. There's some good deals in there. Like there's a flashlight in there, one that I carry all the time. And then there's a Craftsman set. And then also I put a fluke meter in there. That's a pretty good deal. Like $140. It's a basic automotive fluke meter. So if you don't have a meter, fluke is a good quality product. I would recommend a fluke any day. For that points designed for CHEVY, such as AC Delco sets, are virtually identical to the original Harley Davidson points. Really? I did not know that. That's interesting. Points designed for Chevy are virtually identical to the original Harley Davidson points. You know what? I don't know anymore. I think you can still get the warranty stuff, but it's all online. I don't think you can walk in like you used to be able to. You used to be able to just walk in and hand them your stuff. But I think they still warranty through the internet. You have to ship it to them or something. But honestly, I got Craftsman stuff I've had for 30, 40 years. I haven't broken any of it. I broke some sockets because I run them with an impact, which you're not supposed to. But, you know, that's how I've cracked them. I've cracked a few Craftsman sockets. But for a guy starting out or somebody that's just working on their stuff at home, there's nothing wrong with Craftsman. Other than they're not made in the U.S. anymore. What is anymore? It's crazy. Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably all done online. Like Sears, you can go in. Like they had a walk-in thing here. You could go in, but they didn't have any product. It's like you go in and you order it on a kiosk type thing, what you wanted. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll do some research on that. I know that they have a pretty good ratchet though. I've always liked that Craftsman ratchet that has the button on it. You push on it and it holds a socket on there. I've always liked those. And I've got some that I've had for a long time. I mean, I've had them for 30 years. Yeah, they're decent. I mean, they're not Snap-on quality by any means, or Mac, but for the price, like if you have a young guy that's just starting out and he's starting to wrench a little bit or wanting to learn, there's nothing wrong with a Craftsman set to start out with. Because if you lose a Craftsman ratchet, you're out, $5 or $10. You lose a Snap-on ratchet, you're out $100. Harbor Freight tools are good. I had no problem with them. You know what I found on the Harbor Freight stuff is I like that Icon brand. Their Icon brand's pretty good. Matter of fact, I was going to buy a set of Icons just to do a review on them. Because they're kind of high though, compared to their other stuff. But I've had good luck. Yep, as long as they do the job. You're right, man. That's the way I was. So when I first started in the industry, there was a Snap-on truck, a Matco truck, a Mac truck, and then there was this independent guy who used to come around. And I started buying off the independent truck because I could get like OTC, all the same brands that they were selling on the Snap-on truck, I could get from that independent guy for half the price, the same tools. And you could get like a full set of impacts off, and he used to sell ATD, and everybody used to poo-poo that ATD, but you know what? I still have all that ATD stuff. I've never broke a single one. I'm talking about running a 1/2-inch impact on them. Cornwell. Yeah, I don't care for Cornwell. They're okay. They're high priced, but they're not the quality of Snap-on, I don't think. We had a Cornwell guy coming around where I was like, your prices are so high, I might as well buy Snap-on. Yeah, it is overhyped. Because it's all about the name. You get guys in a shop like, well, I got a Snap-on box. This is what happened when I first started in the field. I worked at a shop and everybody bought new Snap-on boxes. They were like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and they were paying the Snap-on guy every week on those boxes. I had this crappy, it wasn't a crappy, but it was small. I had a used Mac top box and a Snap-on lower, and I bought them both used. And they had so many tools in them, man, you couldn't get the drawer shut. So I was just putting all my money in the tools, and all these other guys bought toolboxes. And they were coming over and borrowing my stuff. And I said, you got that fancy toolbox, but you don't have no tools in it. It looks cool, but you don't have any tools. I got tools in a crappy box. I really have tools in a fancy box. SK, I like SK. I do. I like SK. SK is a good brand. I bought some SK stuff back in a long time ago, and I still have it all. It's a good brand. And actually, even their newer stuff that they're still selling is pretty good. He would buy Craftsman. He didn't see the point of buying expensive tools like Snap-on or Mac or whatever. Yeah, there's, like I said, well, go look around. There's some the old Craftsman stuff that you can get at yard sales that says Craftsman, made in USA. Buy all of it. It's better than any tool you can buy in the store today. I have a $16,000 Snap-on toolbox I'm selling for $6,000. Yeah, isn't that sad? You put all that money into it and you can't even get your money back. And then the tools become obsolete so fast, unless it's basic hand tools. Like all your troubleshooting stuff. I remember I bought do you guys remember the old diagnostic brick? It was called a brick. It was like late 80s, early 90s diagnostic tester. It was scrolled. I bought one of those. Man, I think I paid like 4,000 or 5,000 bucks for it. You probably couldn't get $100 for that thing now. Clutch and stick. Yeah. SK makes it good. And Bonnie is another one. The old Bonnie wrenches, you'll see them at yard sales for like $1. And another one to look for is Blue Point. A lot of people don't know this, but Blue Point is Snap-on. You'll see Blue Points at yard sales, and people don't know what they are. They're Snap-ons. Yeah, estate sales, those are good for tools. I love buying tools at sales like that. Yeah, Bonnie makes a good tool. And there's some other ones too. I'd have to get my list out. I got a list of a bunch of older tools. I like buying old wrenches and doing the research on them. It's fun to buy them and then bring them home and look up the company. And you see that they've been around since like 1920s, you know, and they're good quality wrenches, man. You look at them and you can tell they're just good quality. Yeah, estate sales. You see, and people don't know what they have. You know, they'll sell you stuff. I just used it today, man. I bought a, you guys know what the worm drive skill saws were? They were a big commercial worm drive saw. They're made by Skill, but they're a worm drive commercial saw. I just bought one of those for $5 at a yard sale. And they're like $200. The guy said, I couldn't give it away. I said, what do you want for it? He said, $5. I said, sold. A blade costs more than that. That Snap-on rollaway, it looks like a Chevy Bel Air, is awesome. I haven't seen that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think the name of them, but they're called a worm drive. They're made for like guys that do construction, you know, framing and stuff. But they're red. I forget what they have a name for them. The old that has Ford on it. He cannot remember where he got it. That's freaking cool. Here, I'll show you guys something you probably never seen before. Check this out. Let's see if I can get it where you guys can see it good. Where's it at? Let's see, right there. Bet you never seen one of those. I got this out of a toolkit of a Harley that I bought. And it's embossed into the screwdriver. It says AT&G USA 4-in-1. And it says Harley Davidson right on the screwdriver. How cool is that? And check this out. You pull on this, right? And it has a uni bit. And then you pull on this and you can flip it around. So you can have 4 bits in one driver. How cool is that? I didn't even realize that this thing came out, and I was messing around with it one day. I was like, why has that got that little thing on there? And I started messing around with it. Isn't that cool? So that bike, it had all the original tools that came with the bike. They all say Harley Davidson on them. All the like the wrenches and everything, they all say. And that bike was built in 1984. And this was still in the saddlebag. That's crazy, huh? Clutch and stick. You never seen Blue Point before? Here, and I'll show you one. Matter of fact, this was the one we gave away. So if you look at it, right? Look at it. I mean, it's actually the only difference between Blue Point. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. If you can't see it, it says Blue Point right here. They even have the same part number on them as the Snap-on, except I think there's a B in the front. So the only difference is they don't have that shiny finish on them. They have kind of a dull. They're dull. They're not shiny. So it's Snap-on's wrench. at a little bit lesser value, but it just doesn't have the shiny on there. Yeah, they're just not chrome. Exactly. They don't have the chrome on them. They have like an industrial finish on them, which I kind of like better anyway. Do you guys ever see those industrial ones they have? They're black. I always like those. Generic snap-on. Yep, that's what it is. It's a generic snap-on. But it's the same wrench. It just doesn't have the chrome on it. Yeah, it's dull. It doesn't really, it just looks really dull. It's not shiny like chrome. So if anytime you see these that say Blue Point, as a matter of fact, a lot of Snap-on stuff on their truck, it'll say Blue Point on it. I forget what it is that different things that they have. Like some of their tools will say Blue Point right on them and off the truck. So there you go. I like the fact that they're thin because you can get them down into places like if you look at a Mac, they're like twice the thickness of a Snap-on, but they're more square and these are more rounded over. The problem I have with mine is I can really pull hard. And these things, when you get your hand sideways on them like that, it hurts your dang bones in your hand. If you pull on them hard enough, it feels like it's going to break your bone in your hand because they're so thin. A lot of times what I will do is I'll wrap a rag around these when I'm pulling really hard on something because I guess I'm getting to be a wussy, man. They hurt my hand. Because they're so thin, they're like an edge of a knife. There's no bulk to them. We got to get, I'm wondering how we can get the word out that people that were doing question and answers on their vehicles. Maybe I should do, you know what? I should drop some shorts next week, like Monday, and say, hey, Tuesday night we're doing question and answer. So if you got a problem with your car, come hang out. That way we can get people in here that have questions. The best wrench I ran is a 10mm ratcheting wrench. What'd I do? I've been doing shorts, but I haven't really been saying, I just do random stuff, you know. I haven't been putting on there that yeah, that double wrench trick works really well. A lot of people don't know how to do it. I've been doing that for half my career. I did something the other day that I thought was cool. I got this old, see this old Crescent? So the other day I was out there and I didn't want to drag my air compressor out. And I was trying to break the lug nuts loose on that F-250, and I was being lazy. I was like, I don't want to drag a compressor out here. I don't want to go look for my impacts and stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to do it with a socket or ratchet. So I had this a half-inch ratchet with a socket on it, but the ratchet was only like this long. I was like, that ain't going to do it. This was sitting in the back of the pickup, so I just took this. So say this is the ratchet. I just took the hole of the crescent wrench, and then I could get my hand on it like that. And man, it made it like so easy to break those lug nuts loose. I was like, that's a neat little trick, because that's a pretty good size hole, and my half-inch ratchet just barely fits in that hole. So that gave me like crazy amount of torque with that big old wrench, and I can put my whole hand on it instead of trying to pull on the end of a bar. It worked really good. Yeah, exactly. You know, that's what I used to tell the guys in the shop. I said, those fancy tools don't fix cars. Right here fixes the car. The tools are just an extension of your mechanic abilities. Oh, you got a ratchet like this thing, dude? It's ratcheted here? and it's pointed on the end like that. So it has a ratchet and a point, right? That's cool. They still use these. I just did a video on this. Go check out the video I did. That's freaking cool, man. I was wondering why this didn't ratchet. But the early ones, this is how they did them. You know, they went like this. They lined up the beams as they came in, pulled this, and then they tightened the nut up. Yep, it's a spud wrench. Most people don't know what they are. I'm surprised that you know what they... I'm surprised you know what that is, because most people don't know what that is. I just did a video that said something like something about mystery wrench. And what I did, I took a picture of this and I put some potatoes above it. It was go check it out. We just dropped it a couple days ago. It's on the channel. It's kind of funny. Yeah, I don't know if I did or not. Maybe I should. I don't know if I did. You build lots of steel buildings? Oh, that's right. You do ironwork, huh? You're an iron worker, aren't you? That's right. You do ironwork, or you did do it, right? Yeah, my buddy said they used these in the Army too. They were pretty common in the Army, like on the tanks and stuff. They used to carry these on them. So I was just thinking, man, I couldn't imagine. You imagine dropping one of these from a high rise? Drop that thing. Did you guys keep your tools tethered to you when you're up there working? I've had this thing forever. Yeah, we just did a video about this because we showed like the crescent wrench and we showed the vice grip, channel locks, and then we said, what is this? Because a lot of people don't know what this is. I'm a little surprised that you knew what this was because most people don't know what a spud wrench is. Yeah. I think I got this one from my buddy. He was in the Army, so I think that's where this one came from. And I've carried it around forever. And you see this wrench right here? I destroyed that tooth with that wrench, turned it to powder, man. They had to rebuild the whole tooth because I came down on it like that. Bam. And at one time there was you could see where the tooth hit, but now I don't know which one it is. But yeah, don't hit yourself in the mouth with that because it will knock your tooth out. I've done it. Good idea for your channel. You could show how tools and describes what it is, and the title of the video is what is this tool. Yeah, I've been doing that a little bit. I've been trying to come up with different ideas. Been messing around with it here and there. I think I'm going to do one pretty soon on how to use a multimeter. Do about a 10-minute video on how to check voltage and ohms and resistance and amperage and all that with a meter. Thinking about buying me a new I have a Fluke at work, but I'm thinking about buying me a Fluke for at home. I got this meter, man, I've had it forever. I went to like a drivability class for Bosch fuel injection. And that was part of the deal. If you went through the whole class, they gave you a meter and a set of manuals. So I got this meter that I have now. I've had it for over 30 years. Man, it's a great meter, but it's not a Fluke. Yeah. Those spud wrenches are the only way to go when aligning steel holes. Yeah. Actually, I got some wrenches that are like this in my toolbox. They're just tapered. You know, they don't have that thing on the end here, but they're just pinch bars, you know, that are tapered. And I use them all the time for lining up metal panels because I put in like partitions for police cars that puts the, you know, the prisoners in the back. So I put that metal piece that goes across in there. And sometimes you got to line up those. That's the best way to line those up. You just stick it through there, stick it into the other one, and you can get a bolt going. They're really handy. Yeah, stupid autocorrect. I agree. You gotta watch what you say. I sent something to one of my kids one day. I was like, what does that say? Will, you do drivability and emissions? That's what I've done for like ever, man. I had my smog license for a long time, then I just let it go because it's not required where I work. Yeah, it works really good. I've taught a lot of guys how to do stuff, and I've seen them fight those panels, and I'm just like, go get a tapered bit, man. Like, what are you talking about? Just bring me a tapered punch. I'm going to show you how to do this real simple. You stick it in there, line up the other panel, push on it, put a bolt in. Done. You know, I tell you what these work good too for. These big ones like this is putting in power steering, not power steering, putting in gearboxes. You know, the gearbox goes up and the bolt goes through the frame and it goes into the hole. There's like 3. These are great for that because you just stick it through the frame and then you don't have to hold that freaking gearbox up trying to get the bolt started. Put a pinch bar through there and then just hang the gearbox up there and you just let it hang on the bar. You don't have to hold it up, and then get your other bolt and then rotate it until you get the bolt started. It makes it really easy. Yeah, Will, you ain't kidding. Most of the time it is a vacuum leak, isn't it? I fixed so many cars with vacuum leaks. Usually I used to be able to hear them from sitting in the driver's seat. I'd be sitting there going, I can hear that thing leaking from here. So I've used them for everything. There's a Freightliner cover piston that he uses for an ashtray when he used to rebuild the engine. It's big and heavy. That's funny. I love them old stories about dads teaching their kids stuff, you know. We're losing a lot of that over the years, you know. People are passing things on to their kids, man. We got to be teaching them. Because, you know, there's a lot of young men now, they don't know how to do anything. I worked with a young man here a few years back, and he was helping me air at the house. And he didn't know how to use a shovel. I couldn't believe it. He was taking a shovel and doing this sideways, trying to dig a hole. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just trying to get this hole dug. And I'm like, no, you got to stand it upright and step on it with your foot. He didn't know how to use a shovel, man. You know, he was 20 years old, didn't know how to use a shovel. It's crazy that we haven't passed any kind of skills onto our kids anymore. It's like, I don't know how they're going to survive. If they ever lose their cell phone, they're going to be in trouble. Yeah, I don't know. It used to be just common things. That's what you taught. You know, the young men coming up in your family, you taught them how to pound nails and how to build stuff and how to work on cars. Yeah, I know. I try to teach as much as I can. Even the guys in the shops now, man, they don't have the skills that they used to. I mean, some of the guys in the shop where I work at, they would have never made it in the industry when I was working because you had to come in knowing what you're doing. They expect you to be able to fix stuff. Yeah, the lines dry out. You know, when I first started in the industry, I was doing tune-up work and troubleshooting and a lot of smog stuff. And I used to get all kinds of smog redos where I'd have to go in and replate and bring them up to put all the old smog stuff back on them. And I'm not exaggerating, man. I'd go through like 2 rolls of vacuum line a week. Because I used to re-vacuum everything, man. Just rip everything off and start over. Once your car is on, what is the minimum amount of time you suggest keeping it on to burn off excess gas in the cats? Once your car is on, what is the minimum amount of time you suggest keeping it on to burn off gas in the cats? I never really thought about that because I never seen it being a problem. But it's always a good idea when you start something up to let it run for, at least a minute or two before you shut it down. Yeah, that's what I thought, Will. I've never seen it being a problem. Read up tape measure. He goes 56 and 2. Ditto mean 56 and 2. Well, hey, that's what it takes. But I used to work in a mill, and they used to fire off stuff. I worked on some construction sites too, where guys would just fire off. You just cut stuff all day, Say 23 and 5/8, 26 and 3/8, 27 7/8. So you had to know what they were, man. Teach my son all this stuff. My oldest daughter is a certified welder in TIG and arc welding. She graduated college. That's awesome, dude. Good for her, man. Tell her to go big. Say congratulations. That's amazing. I love hearing that stuff. My dad. That's great. I love seeing girls that do that kind of stuff. There's no reason they can't. One of the best mechanics I ever knew was a girl. She went through Butte College with me. She was sharp, man. Man, welding is a good thing to be involved in right now, for sure. She'll make good money. Tell a young person something, they get really mad at me. Solution, I just don't say anything. I had a guy like that at work, man. He's a young guy. He's young to me, but by the time I was his age, I already knew what I was doing. But he's 25, and every time he'd do a transmission service, he'd have it all over the ground. He'd have it on him. He'd have a big old puddle, and I had a little issue with him because he kept leaving his dirty rags over in my area. And I told him, hey, I said, your mother doesn't work here, dude. I said, don't leave your rags over here. Pick up after yourself. And so he didn't like me after that because I told him, quit being a slob. And so he was doing that with the tranny. And I went by there one day and I seen him, and he was struggling, and I was like, hey, I said, next time you get ready to do one of these, come get me. I'm going to show you a trick that makes this really easy, and you won't get it on you and get it all over the place. It'll keep it all in where it belongs and not all over the bay. I go, come get me. And he goes, that's okay. I'm good. I'm like, no, you're not good, but okay. Time I tried to tell, okay. I used to be a good welder in high school welding class. My grades were in the high 90s. Now my eyes are not as they once were. Hey, Carl, I'll tell you a funny story, man. Sloppy worker. She followed me around and worked on stuff since she was a little kid. She's got more sense than most guys her age. Both of my daughters can outwrench both their husbands. They have common sense because I made them do stuff. I had to learn. I'll tell you a funny story about welding. I've never been a great welder. I can weld, but I've never claimed to be a great fabricator. So when I was right before I retired, I was like 55. I was doing something in the back, and I had my helmet up like this, and I had my material right there. I got my welder all ready. I flipped my hood down, and I'm right there, man. I'm just going, I'm thinking, man, I'm laying down a beautiful weld, I was thinking, man, this looks so nice. And, I lift my hood up. Hell, I was a half inch from the crack I was trying to weld. I missed it by a half inch. I was like, man, it's time to put the welder away. I can't see. You're a good welder? That's good. I know some guys that are incredible fabricators. That's why I never claimed to be a fabricator. If I'm not good at something, I'll go get somebody I know that is and go, hey, come here, lay me a weld down right here, man. It was funny, man. I lifted that hood up thinking I just laid the best pass in my life, and I looked down at it, I'm like, I didn't even get close to the crack. commuting. My commute was an hour 30. Now those cats got nice and hot. All the food's in the diff. Gearbox engine got to work out. That's funny. One of the guys I used to work with, he was a drivability guy too. He was really sharp, good drivability guy, but he started getting old. He was like 60. He was 65, 66 and still working. And one day he come over to me, he goes, "Hey, can you come look at this tractor?" He goes, "I don't know what I did to this thing." He goes, "I can't get it to start." And I'm like, "All right." I said, went over there and we cranked on it. I go, "It sounds kind of weird. Sounds funny, like." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "What'd you do to it?" He goes, "I just put a battery in it." I'm like, well, I looked it over and I was like, huh. So I looked at it and I was like, I'm looking at it, it's in right. And what it was is I said, "Well, what'd you guys do to it?" He said the battery was completely dead and we charged it. And I said, "I know what it is." He goes, "What?" I go, "I've seen this before." And I go, "I bet you wasn't paying attention when you hooked it up and you charged the battery backwards." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can charge a battery backwards." And I said, "Look at it." I said, "It's cranking backwards." So when you crank on it, the motor was trying to turn backwards. So he goes, "What?" I go, "Yeah, take that battery out." I said, I hook a meter up to it. I said, "See, the polarity's backwards. Even though it says positive, negative, you charged it backwards." So if you take a completely dead battery that's flat, you can charge them backwards. And when you put them in, they'll try to crank the starter the opposite direction. Yeah, it sucks when your eyesight goes, man. Mine, like I'm going to go get surgery on this left eye again. I had surgery on this eye a year ago. And you guys see me doing this, like trying to see, because this left eye is so blurry, man. I don't even know why I try to use it because it's worthless. They're going to go in and change the lens of my eye on the 5th. So I'm going back to work the 3rd and the 4th, and on the 5th I have eye surgery. But it's only like 15-minute job. I can't believe it costs that much money. $5,000 for 15 minutes. I'd like to be on the receiving end of that deal. What's that? $20,000 an hour? I want those wages. My left eye, though, I detached my retina in my left eye a year ago, and they went in and did surgery. And because of that surgery, it left like a cataract in my eye now. It's weird now when they put a lens in your eye, like, okay, like my eyesight, my right eye is pretty good, like almost 20/20. Just a little bit of correction in my right eye. But because they're going to put a lens in this eye to match this one, I may not even have to wear glasses when I drive now because this eye is going to match the other one. That's pretty good, Matt. I like that. Matt is alive. Matt is alive, has arrived, digging the dive, striving to survive, feeling the vibe, drive to thrive. High five, subscribed, and like the live. Matt is back and in the chat. How about that? Are you going to shave your beard off? No, I'm not shaving my beard off. Welcome in, Matt. Hey, Carl, I had my ACL reconstructed when I was 25. I spent a whole career hobbling around on a bad knee. And then I had my meniscus. They took my meniscus out when I was like 40. Hey, Motor in USA, how you doing, man? Welcome to the live. You watching a ball game? Football? I know a lot of people are probably watching the game tonight. I don't watch football. That's pretty good, man. I've never heard anybody come in like that. Oh, snap. You know what? In the shop where I work, I don't think there's a single guy that hasn't had knee surgery. Every single guy that works in that shop has had knee surgery, except for maybe that young guy that's like 20 something. I got to come in hot. You did, man. That's the best entry I've ever heard. That was pretty good. I liked it. Welcome to the live. What do you drive, brother? What kind of cars are you into? Yeah, I'm already going to hit the rack pretty soon. I'm probably going to call this a night in about 10 more minutes. Tomorrow my girl goes work super early, so I'm going to try to get up and make her coffee. And then tomorrow I think I found a fuel tank for my boat. I might go see about it. I don't know. I need to come up. That's one thing I don't have on the boat. I don't have a good fuel tank. Yeah, well, it does, man. When I was in my 20s, I was a plastering hod carrier. I did cement work. I did, stucco when I was 25 for about 3 years. Man, it about killed me. What is it called? Barone. I might have to try that. Wilt or G-sharp. Barone. Tetrabarone from the health food store. Cheating works well for arthritis and strengthens bones, teeth, and it's good for all kinds of stuff. You know what, man? I'm gonna write that down. Actually, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that thing. I have to tell my girl about that. She's always looking for stuff like that. A very exotic, dark, metallic Toyota Corolla, custom salvage title, and a custom missing front grille. Well, you're custom, brother. You'll fit right in where I live. Where are you from, Matt? I can tell you're kind of a character already. Concrete work's rough, man. That's what I said about cement. It's already heavy. Then you add water to it to make it heavier. We'll have to look it up later. Thanks. Boise, Idaho. I was going to move to Idaho, but man, the prices have went crazy up there. I wanted to leave California and go buy a place up in Idaho, but shoot, the prices up there are as bad as California now. I love Idaho, though. Idaho was nice. It reminded me of the way it used to be here 20 years ago, where you didn't have to lock all your stuff up and people carried guns and, Gosh, I remember carrying planks. I don't know how I did it. I could carry 8 planks at a time like this because we used to load the trucks up and stuff after the end of the day. And these planks had concrete on them, most of them. We'd carry 8, I think they were 12 footers. We'd carry them 8 at a time, lean them up against the truck. That's probably why my back hurts now. Never ending pain. We've had quite a few people that's been in here that does concrete work. Like, you guys know who Maggot is? He's from Australia. He comes in here. He did concrete work. He's still pouring stuff at his house. He's got a bunch of molds or something that he pours. I'm in Northern California, just not far from Sacramento. I'm about 80 miles from Sac, north. All right, Modern USA. Hey, enjoy your night, man. Thanks for stopping in for a few. Have a good day tomorrow. We'll be live again tomorrow night. I'm going to teach tomorrow night. I don't know what yet, but thinking about we'll do some like maintenance tomorrow night. Teach people how to maintain their car for winter. How to do some Rain-X and check your tires and check your freeze protection. I used to be a tire changer, oil changer. All right, Matt, take care. Stop by anytime. We'll be live tomorrow night. On Fridays, we give away tools. This coming Friday, we're going to give away one of these headlamps. They're pretty nice. Go check them out. Hey, guys, I'm going to call it a night. I got stuff I got to do before I go to bed. Anyway, thanks for stopping in tonight. We still haven't figured out what to do with Monday nights. We'll stay after it till we figure it out. I was wanting to do like question and answers. Well, I think maybe we should drop some lives, get more people coming in that have questions, you know, about their vehicles. So I'm going to call it a night. Now, tomorrow night, I'm going to do a live. I'll teach. I'm not sure what yet, but we're going to do some teaching tomorrow night. And then, hey, later, dude. And then come on Friday night because we're going to give away a tool on Friday again. All right. You guys take care. Thanks for stopping in.